Hiya, Lee, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. I've gone out in the garden today, and this is our second one of these. As you know, I'm president of the just for a little bit longer, president of the RFL,
Yeah.
and it's been quite an interesting year, it must be said. Especially, I would have thought that I would be trying to watch a few more games than I'm doing at the moment, but yeah, this is what it is, and we're stuck in here, and I've got the opportunity to maybe talk to you, and I wouldn't have had that before. So, yeah, it's
No.
just a little bit about your career. If you want to introduce yourself, tell me, how your career started, how you fell in love with rugby, and your path really and your journey.
My grandma and granddad used to take me to watch my uncle who used to play, and he played amateur and semi-professional. And yeah, I remember being 5, 6 year old, and I'd be sat at front at coach and mascots, and I kind of just it kind of just spread from there, and grew on me, and I developed this love for it, which was fantastic. And yeah, it stemmed from there, Tony. That's where it grew, and that's where the love of the game started.
And you
Uh,
had a long career, and if you can just tell us, the culture of the industry at that point, how you dealt with that situation, how you came to the end of your career, your mental health, and finally, your
yeah,
mental health today, and what you deal with on a daily basis nowadays to help you in good, peace of mind and loving heartly.
yeah. So now I'll start with. So now I do my counselling, CBT therapist, mindset and performance coach, because that's that's a jigsaw that's got many pieces. What I really do think, and it can come from all angles. And the way I felt with that was I was in the changing rooms once when I played at Salford, and as athletes, there were some lads being sick in the bin before they played. There were some lads dancing, some lads singing, some lads asleep, and someone like myself who were just pretty calm, just sat there taking it all in. And this was 20 minutes before we all were going to go and do the same job. So it got me thinking about, well, why is he reacting so differently to how I am? And why is this person so different to this person? Yet we all know the job, what we're all going to do in 20 minutes' time, because we're all going to walk on that field with our best mates, look after each other. And for the last 2 weeks, we've studied the game. We know exactly what's coming. But yet, there's still something in that changing room. What's so different for each person? And I remember the coach walking in, and the coach went, and this is where it kind of stemmed from, the psychology side of it. The coach walked in and said to the lad who was being sick in the bin, can you not handle the pressure? Is that the problem? And it was only after. It's not he couldn't handle the pressure, because this lad's gone and played on for England. This lad's a massive success, and it wasn't he couldn't handle the pressure. It was his way of dealing with the pressure. Now his way of dealing with it was completely different to how I would have dealt with it, because I didn't need to be sick. So again, that's where the emotion and the mental health kind of creeps in there. People deal with these emotions so differently, but yet that doesn't mean they're less capable of performing. And that's in any walk of life. That doesn't mean that they can't be a success in the job they want to do, just because they don't handle it in a certain way. And that's where the counselling, the therapy, all that kind of stemmed from there for me, because it became a crucial part of the journey, if you like. I kind of experienced quite a bit myself, because when I was at Salford, I was there for 7 years, and a new coach came in and basically said, I don't think you're good enough. You're not my kind of player. Which were fine. That's fine. That's your opinion. He said, but I don't think you're good enough for Super League anymore. And I remember coming home after that, and my contract had finished, and no club wanted me. And it was then that I was sat at home going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I've nothing else. I've nothing to fall back on. This is my life. This is what I know. I know rugby league. That's it. And yet I had a great home life with my wife and my children, and a great, the support there was fantastic. And one day my wife came home and said, we're going to France. I said, what do you mean we're going to France? She went, no, we're moving to France. You're going to sign for a club there. A club's inquired about you. I've got an email here, and the club's inquired. So should we go and give it a go? And I didn't want to go. because it was the unknown to me, you know. And as you know, Tony, athletes don't like the unknown. They like to know. They like waking up knowing what they're eating, what they're putting on, what time they're coming on. They like that routine, and I didn't like it. Anyway, we went to France and had the best time of our lives, to be honest. You know, I learned so much about myself and about life away from the game. It's a game, and that's what it is. And there's life after this game. And the biggest lesson I learned from that France experience was, did I want to be known as an ex-rugby league player when I do retire, or do I want to be known as, you know, a counsellor who people can speak to and they love speaking to, and this guy's fantastic to speak to, or he was a good player. And I made that decision, and that I don't want to be known as an ex-player. Now, in the space of 5 months, I went from playing in a lower division in France to then every athlete's dream. This is, after speaking to athletes, is to walk out at Wembley. And I think that goes from whichever sport you're in. I think to walk out at Wembley is a special moment, something what as a kid you dream of. And within 5 months playing in a lower league team in France, I then signed at Castleford and got picked, and I was playing some of the best rugby I've ever played. I felt like born again within the game. I was loving the game again. And we made it to Wembley, and I walked out at Wembley, and that kind of that was like the pinnacle of, I had a choice to make before I went to France. Do I let this coach tell me you're not good enough? Okay, that's me, I'm finished. Or do I say, actually, it's about taking a step back, reassessing, and then pushing forward? And that's what I did. I went to France, I reassessed, I had a look what needs to be fixed. It was easy for me to sit there and blame everyone else. But yeah, I looked at myself and, well, actually, I wasn't probably playing the best rugby at Salford. So this coach wouldn't have wanted me. So yeah, what's next? So I took the step and I walked out at Wembley, which was unbelievable, you know, to where I was 5 months ago. And the look of your family's face, you know, when you do that it was priceless, because it was just something what, as a kid, you want to do. That's what you want to do. But to get there, I had to experience every emotion going. I had to experience, you know, the downfalls and then the successes. But whilst I was at Castleford after that, the year after was the turning point in my life as a human being, to be honest, because I'd always worried about things what didn't need worrying about, but they did for me. So, you know, that's out of place, I'll put that back in place, and I can't go out because I need to do this before I go out, when actually that'll still be there when you get back, and it can be done. And yet, I had twin boys, and they were born really early, 26 weeks, and we spent 4 months in the hospital with them, and it was I was signing waiver forms to say they can have the operation, but I had to sign that if they don't make it through the operation, I've signed to say that that's okay. And I remember doing that, and everything within what life holds, every emotion what life holds, we experienced as a family within them 4 months, because we lived at the hospital with our boys, because we didn't want to leave them. My other 2 children moved into the hospital, and we lived there. I stopped playing. That was it. 4 months in the hospital, locked away. And then when I used to walk outside the hospital to get a bit of fresh air, and people were going on, you know, with their lives, and I used to sit there and think, how is everyone else carrying on living? Because this isn't like, people shouldn't carry on living, because I'm trapped in this hospital. My boys, you know, I couldn't understand how life's continuing, because mine had stopped at that point. My wife's had stopped, because all we cared about was getting our boys fit and healthy, which they are now. And let me tell you, at 4-year-old, wow. Yes, they're swinging off the goalposts, to be honest. They're mad. But I wouldn't have it any other way. And that was a turning point about, well, it's a game. Rugby league is a game, you know, and the pressures what are there are pressure. Yeah, they are pressures, you know, the self-doubt's there, you know, the anxiety's there within the game, okay, but sometimes it's, let's step away from the game. When we're not at training, let's come away from the game. And the thing what I try and install in athletes especially is, You need to find a love for a love, because you love what you're doing. You love the game, whatever game you're in, whatever sport you're in. You love that. But yeah, let's find a love away from the game as well, which I did with counselling and speaking and, and doing the mindset coach. I love that. I love that coming to the back end of my career more than what I did playing. That's why I walked away from the game, because it was the right time, because I was getting up for training and I didn't get that buzz anymore. Back in the day, this buzz I had for this game was second to none. But now, the fact that when I'm going speaking to, children and teaching in schools who are facing difficulties in their life, and then I'm speaking to athletes who are facing difficulties, and it was just, that's what I love to do. And I knew it was the right time to walk away from the game. And looking back as a family, my children, we played in Australia, we've been all over, they've the life, what it's given them has been absolutely fantastic. And it was just the right time. As far as the culture, and I think back to the culture then as a whole career around the mental and emotional health, as most athletes would probably state to you back then, there was a massive stigma attached to it. You couldn't speak, especially being this. I was renowned as the man up front, the one who takes no. Yeah, he steps up if he'll take no rubbish off anyone. And if I turn around and said, actually, I'm struggling, that'd be frowned upon, or it would have been frowned upon. So you didn't even put yourself in that boat. And luckily, and the biggest thing I find is having a great support network around you. And we've Sporting Chance, Tony, on touching on them as well. And obviously I've never been into residential, but I've seen your facility. I've seen what it's there. They've got that, and even sometimes if you haven't got the home life side of the connections, sometimes it's just a phone call to you guys who can step in. And I just think that stigma, which is breaking, especially within rugby league, which I know a little bit, it is breaking, but I still think people need to understand that you're there to help them, not just within the sport, but within the life, and to walk away from a game eventually, like everyone has to, when they do walk away from it, they're in the best possible position mentally they can be. And it's something what just needs to be, they need to understand it's there, and it's there for the right reasons. So, yeah, as a culture, it was probably frowned upon a little bit, and then I wanted to change that. I did want to change that, and I did at the clubs I was at, because I had lads speaking to me away from the game, something didn't quite going right, or I've had an argument with my wife, and it was like, this is brilliant. This is what it's about, because if I can take a 1% of that stress and pressure off you, that's what I'm here for, because I know how to offload that. I know how to offload it. Let's feed it. And the biggest challenge, I think, within sport now is, if you're performing well on the field, you're okay. That's what they say. You're okay. If you're not performing well, something's not right. Well, actually, for a lot of athletes and a lot of people within sport, their coping mechanism is playing the game. That doesn't mean away from the game everything's smooth. That's just their coping mechanism. And I still think people with a smile on their face need to be asked, how's your home life going? Are you okay? How's everything going? Because they're the ones sometimes who love doing what they're doing, but away from the game and away from the lads or the girls, they don't know how to handle life. And we need to bring it as a whole picture and give everyone the best opportunity.
No, that was lovely, Lee. It was really beautiful, mate. And I really identified with the, Lee, the rugby player. I very much, when I went to my therapist when I was, my life was at the end, and I kind of made the call and went to see my therapist, guru, friend. It just happened. I still see him now after 23 and a bit years of recovery. And I said to him, I know how to get drunk and I know how to play football, but I don't know who I am. And I was one of the fortunate ones that I got that, and I was still playing, and I really identify with all those, first part of my career, the anxieties, the fears, all those kind of stuff was suppressed in alcohol and in the game. The game was enough for me at that point. But then when I sobered up and all these thoughts and feelings come up, what am I going to do with this lot now? It became a different ball game, and I needed somehow to talk to someone about that. And I always remember other players, and I really identified with that, how they reacted and how they dealt with it. We all get a certain amount of talent, but the thoughts and feelings, and I really heard that. I remember Perry Groves, bless him, he used to shake his knee up and down like this, you know what I mean? And it's just way of it manifested in him. And for me, I've always been a person that's kept it all inside, so I've got to be very careful with that. I knew last 6 years of my career I was more successful than I ever was, 2 doubles in that period, and I did it with a clear mind and a loving heart. And I just went on and if I'd told that to back in the day, you mentioned the culture, you say you're walking onto the football pitch with a clean you're all right, just get on with it, what I mean? Pull your finger out, let's go and get them, but I did find that I could be the best player that I could possibly be. I could be the best person that I could possibly be. And I'm really proud with the RFL. As you know, the relationship with them has been pretty fantastic since I did my first education seminar down with Warrington with Tony Smith there, and I love the way that they do the survey every year, which is they ask rugby league players about, do you know Sporting Chance? Do you know what they do? Do you know how to get in contact with them? And it's up to 99% now. All you guys do, and they do access it, and they've got that support network. We didn't have that back in the day. And the most call that they get is like, oh, something's up, I don't know what it is, I loved it, Lee. I loved chatting to you, mate. I've got to know you. You're a wonderful human being. And who'd have thought that, And, you kind of go, oh, why is he, And I had to analyse all this. What did I have a connection with these people back in the day? Were they just drinking pals? Or, were they psychos together, suppressing all their feelings? Or they were... and I think it's a real strength now that we talk about our thoughts and feelings, and it certainly makes me a stronger person. But I just want to wrap up with more from you, just on briefly. I know we're in this lockdown kind of period and stuff. It's just a little bit about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to help you kind of manage. I've got my own set of program, structure, routine. I'm lucky enough that I'm out in the garden today, which is lovely. Hopefully the interference, I've got birds in it, it's not putting you off too much if birds put you out. But a little bit around, your mental and emotional well-being, how you're looking after it on a daily basis today.
Look, it's one of them, you can either sit there and whinge is the wrong word. You can either sit there, and bog yourself down a little bit with, I can't do what I've done for the last however long. But it's been a great time for me to reflect, reflect on myself. And you just stated about, who you are, and reflect about who you are and what direction am I going in as a person at the moment? Because I don't know, because I'm in schools, I'm with athletes. I don't really know what direction from this transition I'm going in. But yeah, it's giving me time to reflect and better myself. Definitely better myself, and at the same time enjoy the less stress and rush of life. I'm waking up, the kids are waking up, they're doing the schoolwork, I'm doing my work. And everything's flowing a lot more smoother than that. Get up, get your breakfast off, and go to school. And you kind of fall into that a little bit of that's life. But yet maybe this is just a bit of an eye opener about taking a step back and embracing it and enjoying it. But again, I think the biggest thing we're finding is it's the unknown. We don't seem to like the unknown too much. I love the unknown. And this is what I love about it, because regardless of what's going on away from our control, which is well out of our control at the moment, we can only control ourselves. And the unknown, though, brings exactly what I said, it brings opportunities. So, yeah, there'll be an opportunity at the back of this, and most people at home now, I think they'll be better themselves in one way or another, doing things what they probably never dreamt of doing. It might just be picking up a book. There'll be people doing that, people going out for walks who who don't go out for walks, and you just state about the birds in the garden. You know, I guarantee, you know, 6 months ago, you ask someone, what do you hear on the way to work? They're that just in that mindset that they just get from home to work. Where now it's, oh, actually, it's beautiful when the wind's blowing, the sun's out, you know, it's that mindfulness. And I just think there's a whole heaps of opportunities there right now, what people are taking. And for myself, I'm one of them. I'm loving the strengthening myself. That's probably the best way of doing it. Strengthening myself at the moment.
Fantastic, pal. Lee, I love you, mate. Take care of the kids. Take care of that wife.
You too, mate. You too.
Love, buddy. Loads of love.